Brand communication is an integral part of a brand story. Your communication can speak volumes about your brand. It is all about getting to know your audience, crafting a powerful message, and putting it out there in an effective manner. Having a clear and authentic tone can eventually result in stronger and memorable brand experiences for your customers. Defining what your brand stands for and its core values are imperative to have healthy communication with the stakeholders. The term brand and branding are one of the most used terms in the business world today. Every year, millions of dollars are spent on branding exercises and new brand campaigns. Despite this, branding remains one of the business aspects that people can't just seem to get right. This is the reason why organizations fail to recognize the power of a brand and exploit it to its full potential. COVID 19 drastically changed the economy and heavily impacted consumer behavior and consumption patterns. Customers are still shopping, but their needs have been changed. No longer there's a need to plan a vacation or purchase a new car. However, the good news is that it has never been easier for brands to engage with their target audience. Today, we would be exploring more about the concept of branding, myths around brand communications, the impact of COVID 19 on businesses, and lots more. Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I am joined by Mridul. She is the co-founder and creative director at AM Branding, a New Delhi-based luxury branding studio. Hello Mridul, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be a part of the Socially Desi show.
It's a great pleasure to be having you on the show today, Mridul.
Thank you.
So, tell us about your journey. How did it all start for you?
It started back in college when I entered NIFT Bangalore to study fashion communication. Going away from home, that is Delhi, where I've been born and brought up, to start fresh and to live independently made me look at life in a completely fresh perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think things started to turn around when I entered college, and it was basically in the textile design department, as my rank was horrible all over India, which is, I mean, horrible in the sense I would expect someone to enter with a better rank. So mine was 482 all over India. And it was by luck and hard work that I could score a 9 pointer in my first year and get through fashion communication.
Okay.
It's a more versatile course at NIFT where you tend to explore, new subjects every semester. A course where students had a much higher rank than I did. I think that was the first time I realized that if you set your mind to something and work towards it, the universe sort of brings it all together for you. Also, in order to be financially independent, I started taking small time freelance projects in
Okay.
graphic design and styling because every year we learned new exciting things.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to convert that knowledge into practical projects. So I still remember like my first project that I got as a freelancer was promised at a sum of 1500 rupees,
Okay.
which we never received because we were young and stupid
Okay.
and did not know the concept of advances or the entire design process of getting into a freelance.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a great learning experience for me and my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I remember working on designing graphics for few small designers because Instagram was up and about at that time, and that's when I was in my first or second year. I think a lot of new designers started coming up on Instagram,
Okay.
and everyone sort of got hooked to it.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I was in my fourth year, I think I took my first step in the world of Instagram and social media for the first time when I actually had like good designers, good as in they were new designers who were really creative in their space. They saw some of my freelance projects on Behance and on Facebook, the
Okay.
things that we would do at college,
Mm-hmm.
and they approached me to do their social media. And as soon as I started designing graphics for social media, I realized that there was just too much clutter being posted,
Right.
and people would not plan their content. They would just throw in images, and as a grid, when you see it on Instagram, it's a completely different story.
True.
So
Yeah.
I think I don't know if it was because of my research or it was just an instinct from within where I felt like this will be the need of the hour, if not today, but in the coming years,
Mm-hmm.
that people would want to organize their visual content, because it was really depressing to see bad content being posted.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember this joke that we had in college, where our graphic design teachers would say in the first year that, the course that you're getting into, it's going to eventually hurt your eyes, because as soon as you start learning about authentic graphic design and educate yourself about, the purity of layouting or just managing the entire content,
Mm-hmm.
you won't be able to look at things around you. So if you go to a restaurant and if you look at a menu, it's going to pinch your eyes if it's not correct. And I
Right.
think that's so true
True.
today, because when
Yeah.
I move around the country, or when I look at signages or boards or general, logos, when things are not correct, it really hurts my eyes. And I think
True.
that's my aim in life, just to basically refine India visually. Because when you're a graphic designer and you look at things abroad, like if you go to Germany, or if you look at graphic designers, there's very little referencing that happens from India. And I think that was my main aim, that today, if you look at the social media game, there are a couple of great Indian designers that people do take references from all
Mm-hmm.
over the world. And I think that's how far Indian graphic design has come,
Yeah.
where people are paying attention to this field as well.
True. True.
Going back to my journey post college, I got my first job at JJ Valaya.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 25-year-old brand, and I happened to message him on Facebook. I was a, I think, 20-year-old girl at that time, and I learned about branding, and I was so enthusiastic about this whole thing. I ended up sending him a long message on Facebook talking about how bad his branding and social media was.
Okay.
At that time, little did I
Mm-hmm.
know that he actually replied on Facebook saying, can we meet? I'd love to know your ideas and insight about it. And I remember meeting him, and then he told me that he could see a lot of his passion inside me, although I was a newcomer and I had no experience in the industry. But he did go ahead and give me a job as his executive assistant, just looking at how passionate I was.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I really got the industry experience that I needed. We would work on runway shows, and I would literally dive into anything that I could help him with creatively.
Okay.
For instance, if I was from fashion communication, but being his assistant, I just had to make things easier for him. So if he
True.
needed like juttis for his runway show, we would sit together and fix that up. If
Okay.
there was this big headgear that was needed on the runway, we would dive into it and get it done. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember that actually got a lot of good publicity at the show. It was a Bolshoi Bazaar show, and people actually loved that headgear that we put together. So I think it's all about really following what you love and just not saying no to learning new things. Because for me, even though I was in a particular field, I actually got into a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized what I actually did not like doing, and just stuck with my own field.
Yeah.
um, Moving ahead, moving on from JJ, I got into this job with Nikasha. That's another 11 and now 15 to 20-year-old brand.
Mm-hmm.
Nikasha and I actually had a really good relationship. I remember I became the creative director at Nikasha when I was 24, which is around 3.5 years back.
Okay.
Um, that was a big deal for me, because I was actually managing 100 people over there, including the tailors and embroiders, and literally started as a brand manager, but went on to becoming the creative head and then the creative director, because I would literally manage everything for her, from sales to PR to marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a creative, fun journey, and we were totally in sync. Another thing, that I think really made sense was that I was always very honest with her. Like, even if I had to do freelances along with Nikasha's job, because I had to financially support myself, I would not hide anything from her. I would
Mm.
actually take her permission. I would make sure that everything was super clear and honest.
Right.
And I think she really respected that, because
Mm.
she also does not live in India. She's actually based out of Singapore, but
Okay.
her office is in India, in Okla. So we would literally coordinate everything on FaceTime, and when she would come down to India, we would sort things out together.
Okay.
As I started experimenting and freelancing super early at the age of 18, by the time I finished working at Nikasha, I already felt like I had a fair share of
Mm-hmm.
experience in this field. Plus, I had the industry experience that I needed because, like I said, I was managing all these various departments for her. Luckily, around the same time, I met my husband and my partner, Aviral Rungta, who really helped me fine tune chaos in my head
Mm.
and come up with this concept of AM Branding Co.
Okay.
So, a little fun fact is that I met Avi because he messaged me on Behance.
Oh,
So,
okay.
on Behance, basically, it's an online portfolio for creative individuals,
Yeah.
and you list all your portfolio and your, creative work there. So, I received a message there, about how he liked my work and he was looking at a creative director for his new eyewear brand that he had started called
Mm-hmm.
Toca di Legno, and we actually started freelancing together, and I met him only 3 to 4 months into the freelance.
Okay.
And when we met, I think we totally hit it off in terms of, enjoying working together. That was our first thing before we even fell in love, I think. That we really loved supporting each other. And we had that connect where, he was present to listen to all my ideas, and I would sort of contribute to things that
Mm.
he was doing. And it was just a really cool thing because, frankly, of course, we all have people in our lives who build us and promote us to do good things. But
True.
with him, I think it was really unreal because I'd never met someone before, Aviral, who would actually really listen to my, chaos and listen to my ideas of things that I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, when I was not where I am today and I was just starting out, I had really big plans and
Mm.
they sort of seemed unreal. This entire AM branding platform that we've created at that time, it was really unreal to think about because working with the top designers or even building brands from scratch, that's something that came as a result of all the conversations that Aviral and I actually had.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's the most beautiful thing when you find people who promote your growth, who are not scared to back you up, and most importantly listen to your vision. So that's my journey, so far.
No, absolutely. It's so true that, when you meet people who are aligned with your vision and they understand, the kind of journey that you want to go through,
Yes,
I believe then the destination doesn't matter because then
correct.
it's all about the journey and how you enjoy the whole experience together.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, wonderful to see, you met your husband through Behance and
Yeah,
the way
correct.
you started collaborating and then eventually got married. So, perfect, I mean, that's a really, really good way. So, a couple of questions I have in my
Sure.
mind. So, first is around Behance and Instagram. Do you think in today's world, I mean, I understand that Behance is still a big network where designers showcase their projects
Yes,
and clients can find them through Behance. But do you think in India, Instagram has taken over Behance?
absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like it's a sad reality, but literally, the minute you meet someone, what do?
Hmm.
You look their name up on Insta.
Yeah.
You don't go around on Behance or Google. It's just gone. Like, literally, your Instagram profile defines who you are, which is frankly really sad because people tend to show only happy moments on Insta and not the entire reality. But literally, that's where you look up people. And
Yeah.
that's how in your perspective, that's how you judge someone today before you even meet them. You look them up on Instagram, you see how many followers they have, what kind of content they have, pictures. And I think definitely Instagram has totally taken over.
Yeah, I mean, that is, one of the things that as a platform, Instagram has provided to both the customers as well as the designers, a common platform where they can meet, they can see each other's work, interact,
Yes,
and eventually, collaborate.
absolutely.
So, and my other thing was around when you spoke about not many countries around the world are following Indian designers, or if I have to put it in a different way, that Indian designers, I believe, are not able to inspire the Western culture as much as what we wanted to. Um,
Hmm.
so I was looking at a few Instagram pictures that you had showcased with travel with Thea. where you
Right.
have showcased Iceland, you have showcased Norway.
Hmm.
Can you tell us more about the kind of design, principles that you followed, or maybe the concepts that you followed on those?
So basically, Thea as a brand, or it's an older brand that we've been working with. She has a store at Banjara Hills, Hyderabad. She
Mm-hmm.
does fine jewelry and amazing woman to work with. And she's been one of my oldest clients. Literally, it's been around 3.5 years since we've been working on her website, branding, social media. And also today we have an amazing relationship together. We literally gossip about jewelry
Mm-hmm.
24/7. So, in terms of the branding concepts that we apply to Thea or any brand, I, of course, look at referencing, but I don't follow, I don't click a picture of any graphic and keep it and tell
Mm.
my team to copy that. That's a big no no. In terms of, in order to inspire people, you need to also innovate.
Yeah.
If you keep doing what people are doing, nobody is going to get inspired and follow what you do. So for us, I think my inspiration comes from the designer's vision or the brand owner's vision. I literally pick up their thoughts, I think, and convert that into visual graphics. That's how, when you look at our content, no two designers will look the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally, it has my aesthetic, of course, but it's an authentic way of going about graphics where you obviously get inspired by certain things. I do study books. Even till date, I open books and I'll read about Elisha. I look at things that people have done, like other graphic designers that I personally look up
Mm-hmm.
to. But I would never go around clicking pictures of what Sabyasachi is doing, or where, any other big Indian designer or an international designer. I never keep that reference board in front of me. Of
True.
course, I look at it, but then we try to create everything from scratch. And no, like not once is any of the template copied from one designer to
Mm.
another.
Mm.
That I'm very particular about, because literally, if we have 20 clients today, each individual client will have their own set of templates, fonts, colors, concepts, ideas. Nothing is ever copy pasted. And I think that's been, wonderful, where that's added to our success eventually.
No, I truly believe that you need to have your own voice
Yes.
on social media and in your own designs, because eventually, if you have to go and copy paste,
Hmm.
then what's the point of having a brand? Then you become a dealer, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So that brings me to my next point, which is, what is the importance then, of a good brand communication?
I think visual communication for any brand is literally the face and identity of a brand.
Hmm.
The smallest details like fonts, colors, layouts defines everything your brand stands for. It is absolutely vital today more than ever to be as authentic as possible to stand out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Creating good brand communication is like formulating a unique DNA that is one of a kind and true to its ethos. You can't replicate somebody else's. I know a lot of brands copy their and sort of trace the competition's journey, but I think that's okay in terms of setting your blueprint or just getting ideas or inspired, but not to create your own brand communication. That has to come from within, and it needs to have a unique DNA.
And when we talk about a unique DNA and being authentic on, on every platform when it comes to your visual communications,
Hmm.
how do you feel the relevance of branding in today's day and age?
Um, the day we launched AM Branding Co. on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
we were flooded with queries asking us about what we do. And, our first few clients at AM, they literally came to us through Instagram. So I think the minute I started putting out my work on Insta, I did not expect a lot of people to actually come to us because I didn't have so many followers. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people were just waiting for this opportunity. A lot of designers were looking for someone who could, manage their creative visual communication aspect. Because the minute we started archiving, doing, regular posts, within a week or two, I was flooded with queries with good designers. Like, those were names that I used to actually think that I would want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
They started contacting us, and we were super grateful and surprised with the amount of interest we received. It was one of those moments that actually defined the core of our company. That is, honesty and hard work and just authenticity in general. Avi and I realized that, one good project would definitely lead to another. And that has literally been our only marketing strategy, to do good work and to archive it on our Insta page. Because we've never, I know I don't mean to sound too full of myself, but we've never sent out a pitch email to any client that we have today. We've never been, forced to pitch our work or reduce our costs. I mean, thankfully, that's never been the case. We actually, people respect when we say that this is our costing and this is the deliverable that you're going to get, and there is no compromise on quality,
Hmm.
moving ahead. So I think people really respect that.
True. I mean, yeah, it's really important when it comes to client expectations and defining your own, way of doing things.
Correct.
Because sometimes what happens, even this is what I've seen in my, consulting days, that a lot of times when businesses give you a project, then you basically bend your ways or maybe bend your ways in a way to please your customer. And at the end of the day, what
Hmm.
happens is the kind of output that was really desired doesn't come out. So
Absolutely.
you end up delivering a subpar deliverable, and the whole project looks like really nice, but it's not what actually was desired.
Yeah, true. And another thing is, which I really found ridiculous when I started, was because see, at the end of the day, we are sitting in Delhi, and everyone knows that the hub and major designers and their base is Bombay.
Hmm.
So another thing is, for us to tackle that Delhi Bombay thing was very important. And thankfully, I already was working with a few people from Bombay. One of them is Saksha and Kinney. It's a really cool new brand, and Saksha is actually someone who really pushed me along, Avi, to start this, because she was in love with what I was doing for Nikasha. She was in love with the aesthetic that I had because it was super in sync with what these guys were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's super important that you sort of not do things for free, because that I found really ridiculous when I would look at freelancers or people who are starting out their companies just to build their portfolio. They would just connect with people and say, okay, we'll do this for free, and just be our client. And then use that name as a leverage to get more projects. Like, that's something that I really find ridiculous in our field. Because how do you basically sell your creativity for free? Like, I don't get that. Like, if you don't value your own work, how do you expect others or other clients to do that? So I think that's a big point for new and upcoming businesses to pick up. I'm not saying charge them a bomb, but I'm saying justify your own work to yourself and to people that you get on board. I think that's super important.
Yeah, it's really important, and as businesses also, like for any business, if you're going and hiring somebody to do your portfolios or maybe your catalog,
Hmm.
see, at the end of the day, if you hire somebody for free, then you're gonna get a free
Absolutely.
work, right? Like the kind of quality will be what you pay for. It's as good as, saying you get what you pay for.
Exactly. That's exactly true.
Yeah, I mean, see, eventually I understand a lot of freelancers who are just starting off, maybe just to get some, limelight, or you can say some attention on the social media platforms. They do a couple of projects for free. But at the end of the day, if you look at those deliverables that they put out and the kind of work that they put out when they are getting paid, there's a day and night difference.
But that's so wrong in general, even if I know that this is still happening. What I'm talking about is not something in the past. It's still happening till date when
Yeah,
people, even for us, I'm not saying we've never bartered for small little things, but that's as a part of our relationship, which has already started. It's not the basis of our relationship where we are doing things for free and the other person is, giving us something in return or just being on our portfolio. I think for freelancers, like, my heart goes out for them, because I've been a freelancer. I've been someone with no money at all. But
hmm.
I've never, again, even if I was getting paid low, I've settled that with the client. I've never said, okay, I'll do this for free because I want to add you to my portfolio. I think that's a conscious decision that every freelancer has to take, because that moment will decide your entire career in this field.
True.
And once you start doing things for free, that's the word that will rotate around. Because like I said, for us also, like one good project has led to another, but also one good relationship has led to another, where people now, a few people who know us and have worked with us, they know that they're going to get what we are mentioning at a certain price, and we don't budge from that.
True. I mean, word of mouth is the best kind of marketing that you can have,
Yes.
especially as a designer and as a luxury designing studio.
Hmm.
And when it comes to even this, what I have seen across different fields, not only in designing and marketing,
Hmm.
but a lot of people, like you said, right? When you start doing things for free, that's the branding that gets stuck to your name.
Yes, correct.
Right, people then look at you as somebody who can be hired for free.
Hmm.
So whenever they want to get some small work done or some a quick little thing to be done, they'll contact you because they know
Absolutely.
that this guy can do it for free and he won't buzz much.
Yeah.
So I believe so for all designers out there, for all entrepreneurs, this is like really key when it comes to building your relations and building your own brand in the space that you're working in.
Hmm.
Make sure that at the end of the day, when you do something for someone, what is the return that you're getting? So, like Mridul also clearly stated that there are ways, times when she also bartered for things. So, but at the end of the day, you have to understand that a relationship cannot start that way. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, through a relationship, like for example, you have a client, you have been working with that client for let's say 6 months, a year, and they've been giving you multiple projects. So maybe within those projects, you can give them a couple of things which can be like a complementary part of the project deliverable,
Correct.
but it can't be the sole pillar of your relationship.
Absolutely.
So that is really crucial. So Mridul, my next question to you is: we have talked about branding, we have talked about defining your voice, but what is that thing that creates brand loyalty?
Brand loyalty, according to me, is very. I mean, it's not a complicated formula.
Hmm.
A humble voice, an honest vision, and an authentic product. I think these three are the key to having your clients come back to you, because it's about delivering what you promise. Be it in retail or a service providing company like AM Branding Co. People want to get what they are paying for. It's as simple as that. They want to feel important. They want to feel satisfied with the quality they get for their money. If you can give them that plus a little bit more, I think there's nothing that stops people from becoming loyalists.
Mm-hmm.
Today, some of my bestest friends are my clients. Like I said about Saksha or even Soumya, who owns Thea. There's Arpita Mehta, Jayanti Reddy. Like all these ladies, they're just amazing to work with. And today, I know that I share that fabulous relationship with them. And especially with Saksha, I think her support has been constant during our AM journey. And even Nikasha, today she remains our client at AM. And I think that's something that's super unheard of. When employees leave their companies and bosses, I don't think there are many people who call their employees and say, okay, can you work for us? And that's the kind of relationship that Nikasha and I have built, where we love working together. And we've always been in this fabulous sync. And she truly believed in my work, and I truly believed in her creative aesthetic. And I think that goes a long way in general.
Yeah, support is a big thing, unless and until you have the support of your customers, you need
Hmm.
somebody to actually guide you also. I believe a lot of times, a lot of customers would have guided you in your journey as well.
Absolutely. Nikasha's been my total mentor in those 2.5 years. Like, we
Hmm.
would sit together every evening and just chat about life. It was not about the things that I had to do for her. It was just about, like creating fabulous work together, our vision in the future, my vision in for my life ahead. Like, we would talk about those things. It was not only about, our professional dealing all the time. It was very personal. We, in fact, even traveled to Paris for an exhibition that we had to do for Nikasha, and we had the best 5 days together. I still remember that trip. Like, that was super special. So I think I've been lucky, or I've just been surrounded by women who like to support women, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, at the end of the day, every business, when they start supporting each other, then you grow. So,
Absolutely,
they
yes,
say in Hindi that tali ek haath se nahi bachti. So it's the same thing.
correct.
Yeah. So, how do you define a core message? Like for every brand communication, we hear this term a lot, define your core message, define your core aesthetic. How do you define
Hmm.
that?
Everything I design personally, I make it a point to translate my designer or my client's vision
Hmm.
with my aesthetic, into their visual communication. My job is basically to sort through all the chaos and cut it down to the purest form of branding for each of my clients. The main thing for any brand is to stay away from the cut, copy, paste culture. I
Yeah.
think three vicious actions that actually kill your authenticity. Every message going out from the brand, be it printed or digital, needs to carry that basic, well defined DNA.
Hmm.
One should live, breathe, and walk that branding tone. It should capture all senses technically, not just your eyes. I'll give you an example. Basically, we've been working with these amazing designers. One of them is a menswear designer called Kunal Raval. He's very well known in India for the work that he does. The look and feel that we created for his brand is totally different from any of my other clients who
Hmm.
are basically doing women's wear. Similarly, we've been working with designers who fall into the same product category, like Arpita Mehta, Jayanti Reddy, Anushri Reddy, Akanksha Gajria, all create beautiful women's wear. But if you see their social media or the branding they have, it's all very unique. It's not a cut, copy, paste, and all the aesthetic is so different, and that's what we've carried forward for them. If Akanksha likes bright colors and her entire philosophy of brightening up everyone's life, we've converted that into graphics.
Hmm.
If Alpita likes those elegant beautiful florals, and she'd like a certain tone which is subdued and subtle, you can feel that when you open her Instagram page.
Hmm.
So of course, one can tell that it carries my aesthetic, which is clean, simple, effective graphics, but it's also their vision that I've translated, eventually. Similarly, another very exciting brand that we have on board is Lara Murakia, who does literally one piece, one of a kind pieces, and she never makes the same piece twice in jewelry.
Okay.
So if you see her branding, it's killer. Literally, the day we started Lara's page and did her branding, there was so much appreciation that we got and Lara received, and that makes us really happy because people had actually never seen any graphics or look and feel like that before.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think that's a win-win situation for both the client and for us. When things when you look at a page and you just say, "Wow, this is unique," what we are looking at.
So, how can brands translate this core message across platforms? So, I understand that a lot of designers that you work for are focused on Instagram and their websites.
Hmm.
But when it comes to translating their core messages, translating their aesthetics across platforms and across their branding and communications,
Hmm.
what do you feel is the number one key to doing that?
The number one key is not to find shortcuts.
Hmm.
When you start a brand or a company, even for AM branding, you need to sit down and define what your branding aesthetic, core, vision, mission is.
Hmm.
You can't get away with just starting out a brand just to save money, say that okay, I'll get an intern or I'll get a simple graphic designer who, I mean, sadly might not have the branding expertise that you require to reach a certain level eventually. you know the actual formula is to hire a professional or study yourself and then apply. Nobody is saying spend a lot of money on this, but if you can do it yourself, great. If you can't, it's almost as simple as when you have an injury, you can't fix it yourself. You have to go to a doctor or a specialist. you know you can't say that, oh, I'll get a fourth year pass out, going to become a doctor, let's get ourselves fixed from there.
Hmm.
Nobody does that. It's the similar concept in branding. You have to find a professional to do their job, and I think that goes a long way. And I've actually had people who've been, I wouldn't like to name them, it's a really big brand, a 25 or a 30-year-old brand, who has come to us saying that we need to sort our Instagram and certain branding projects. And I was shocked because I'm like, you've been in the industry for 25 years. Like, how do you go around not having these basics sorted? You know? So eventually you'll have to put in that effort and money into it. Why not do it from the beginning?
True, true. But I believe the positive thing about this is that at least these traditional old businesses are now realizing the
Yes,
power of social media, and they understand that, boss, enough is enough. You can't stay away from the digital platforms. And
correct.
with this whole COVID thing happening, the brick and mortar businesses have really taken a hit.
Hmm.
So the digital is the way to go now, post 2020. I believe a lot of businesses, even a lot of my friends who have their brick and mortar businesses,
Hmm.
are now actually shifting to digital. I have a friend who basically he sells rugs, so
Hmm.
those kaleens that you see.
Right.
So he sells like really, really, authentic and traditional rugs.
Hmm.
Those are like pretty expensive rugs, and he used to sell them through his brick and mortar shop
Hmm.
across India.
Hmm.
But now even he realized, with this whole COVID thing happening, he realized that the amount of rentals and the inventory cost that he was paying.
Hmm.
I mean, he could get twice the amount of business with half the price that he was
Absolutely.
paying.
Yeah. That's so
So
true.
even he realized, and he comes from a very those khandani businesses
Hmm.
who have been doing this since ages.
Hmm.
So that is one I think positive thing that has come out, in which these traditional businesses, these khandani businesses, have realized
Hmm.
that you cannot just keep a blind eye for social media.
Yeah,
You
for
have to
sure.
open your eyes. Yeah.
For sure.
So that actually brings me to a lot of myths that we hear going around when it comes to brand communication, when it comes to branding, and what sort of myths have you heard about?
There are definitely some annoying ones out there,
Mm-hmm.
which I get to hear every now and then with all the new, brands that are coming up and who inquire for our services. When one thing I think people should research is that branding does not mean only logo and packaging.
Mm.
It's much more than that,
So true.
you
Yeah.
know. So that's something that people should definitely look into. Another thing is that the thing that I mentioned, that one can avoid the branding exercise, that it's a startup and you don't have too much money to invest. So either you educate yourself enough to work on it, or you'll have to find a professional. There's no other way around it. There's no way to avoid that. It is a branding exercise, and like branding and sales go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So you can't expect sales and your brand to grow and then say, okay, I'll come back to branding. What you've done to achieve those sales, okay, that will become your branding in general.
Mm.
So if it's mediocre, that's what people will receive. That's the energy people will get from your brand.
Yeah, so true. I mean, when you are starting off, even I understand that a lot of people don't have that kind of a money to invest
Hmm.
when it comes to branding. So, can you give any tip to somebody who is just starting off and maybe they don't have the kind of money to invest in a
Sure,
professional?
sure. I mean, I get that. And a lot of brands are going through that. And especially in today's time, I understand that the newer ones who were just starting out might not have the bandwidth to pay someone like AM branding. I
Hmm.
understand that.
Hmm.
And I think for that, the internet is a really good platform. If you actually look at authentic things on the internet and you try to learn about branding and understand what are the areas that you have to work into, I think anybody can just study and at least define it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they'll be able to do their graphic design and all. Of course, now for that, you need a professional. You can't learn Photoshop in a day, or you can't learn Illustrator in a day. But I think the basics of branding and just things that you need to cover up to start a brand, it's all there on the internet. But of course, it's a much larger conversation when you come to where to look at these references
Hmm.
at and what
Hmm.
are the websites. So that's something that maybe I'll add to my Insta page, where it's a great idea where I can talk about the correct websites to refer to for the
Yeah.
newer brands.
Yeah.
So that's something that think I'll take back from this conversation, that I'll try to help those newer brands who don't have the money.
Yeah, because a lot of people are confused. This is what I feel.
Correct.
When it comes to branding,
Hmm.
a lot of people who don't have the money to invest in this,
Hmm.
they are basically lost. They don't
Hmm.
understand where to go, what to look out for.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you rightly said that Photoshop, Illustrator, all these things are something that you take time to learn,
Hmm.
and you take time, but the basics need to be there, like for example your aesthetics and the kind of messaging that you want to put out.
Yes.
Like you rightly said, that branding is not just logo and packaging.
Hmm.
So small things matter. So unless and until, as an entrepreneur, I think, get that thing right.
Yes,
At least
absolutely.
understand what your brand means, what
Hmm.
it stands for, what are the like the theme and the colors. If I have to talk about aesthetics,
Hmm.
what are those? Once you have that.
And another thing is to, sorry, I'm cutting you, but another thing is to keep it simple.
Hmm.
If you don't know graphics, don't do graphics. Just put out beautiful images. That's something that you can click easily.
Yeah.
Just maintain one editing tone. We have all those features. I'm talking about people who really don't want to get into this whole thing.
Hmm.
They can just simply edit pictures in the same tone on their phone and just put out beautiful images.
True. True.
Even that works rather than making it all cluttered. Don't do graphics if you can't. Do it when the time is right and you're able to get a professional to do it for you.
Yeah, that is so true.
So yeah, I think another thing that we usually hear is that do brilliant communication and sell this product. I
Hmm.
think you can't sell an average or a bad product with even brilliant communication in the long run. It's a
Yeah.
short time goal, sure, but customers are very smart these days. Like, people are just getting smarter every day. You can't trick them into buying something that's not worth their money.
True. And in fact, people are saving these days. I mean, I see very few people actually going out and buying things for the heck of it.
Correct.
Like especially with this, even the Amazon Prime Day is out, and Flipkart big billion day is also out, but I don't see the kind of numbers that they used to have earlier on their websites.
I think, I mean, Amazon, yeah, because now the problem is that people have to buy on Amazon for their essentials also. So I'm
Hmm.
not sure about their numbers because I haven't done that research. But personally, I've been shopping a lot on Amazon because you can't go to your grocery stores every time. You can't go to, your basic shops that you used to. So I think my shopping has become limited to Amazon a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to your daily essentials, groceries, all those things, that is
Hmm.
complete. I think that's a very separate category of business. But
Yeah,
when it
but
comes to, let's
luxury
say,
shopping, yes,
hmm,
that's totally limited now. Not many people are investing in that.
yeah, your leisure shopping, vanity shopping, all those things have actually reduced a lot.
Yeah, correct.
And that actually brings me to another good point. When it comes to these kind of branding, I believe the impact of COVID, we have seen a lot of shift in communication.
Hmm.
The way you approach your customers, especially during these times. And I see a lot of businesses who have actually pivoted
Hmm.
their business models.
Correct.
Like I'll give you an example of this brand called P Safe.
Hmm.
So P Safe, they basically started with this sanitizer spray that you can spray on the seat
Yeah,
of your commode.
correct.
They started with that, so they had that product. But now, they've pivoted their business. They've gotten into masks. They've gotten into other sanitizers that you can use throughout the house.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about the shift in content and the shift in approach toward customers?
There's definitely been a huge shift.
Hmm.
I can talk for my clients in general that
Hmm.
we actually switched to a sensitive marketing model.
Hmm.
As soon as this pandemic hit us and we all realized that it's here to stay, we actually switched to this model because it was important to feed the right amount of content to our customers and our potential customers. In luxury markets, the thing is, you're not just selling a product, you're selling a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So when the world is hit by something so devastating, you can't ignore the scenario and focus just on selling. It was about being more mindful of what you're telling your customers and reminding people of your brand while being sensitive to the current situation. So yeah, I think that's been pushed by us and our clients
Hmm.
together as an effort in all our visual communication in the last 4 months, where we've been very mindful of what we are putting out, and be it by giving special offers or sales or some sort of relaxation to the customers who are still interested in your brand.
Hmm. So, what are the issues that customers are still facing when it comes to their marketing their products and services?
I think just the thought of now asking customers to invest in your products it had to be worth, much more than it used to in terms of quality. Before you went ahead and spoke about it, you had to be sure of what you're putting out there, and what the customer is going to benefit out of buying that particular product.
Hmm.
It had to be versatile. For example, if they were buying an outfit, we had to show them like different ways of using it, you know or how investing in a certain piece of jewelry could actually turn out to be an heirloom piece where it would last for generations to come.
Hmm.
So a want based marketing strategy had to change to a need based marketing strategy.
Hmm. Hmm. So, when it comes to a need-based marketing strategy, I believe it has gone past the experience of just giving a 40% off or a 50% off on your catalog.
Correct, correct.
What is that one thing that businesses can actually take when it comes to understanding their customers better?
I think also in the last 4 months, apart from the entire sales pitching scheme,
Hmm.
people have also taken the time to fix things that they had to, and they didn't get the time in that entire race of selling and, like entertaining all their customers. A lot of the brands were actually using that 3 month period to fix issues in their branding. Like,
Hmm.
for instance, like you said about your friend also, that people were actually fixing their websites and immediately turning to points where they felt that they could rectify and elevate their brands. So that's another thing. And in terms of selling now, of course, there's only so much that you can do to push your product.
Yeah.
Sales is one thing, but I think the brands who realized that they couldn't do anything more than that, they took a back seat. They were not being, at least for our clients, we told them to take a back seat. And there is just no way around the pandemic. You have to take a hit. But
Hmm.
what you can do is, other than sales, concentrate on other aspects of your business which strengthen your core for the times to come. When the pandemic leaves us and things get back to normal,
Hmm.
you are ready to again give it a kickstart. So
True.
that's what I advise my clients, because there is no magic formula for us to give. If people don't have the money, they don't have the money.
True. Yeah. I guess that is one of the big things that even I see when it comes to businesses. A lot of businesses, they have panicked a lot,
Hmm.
and we could see that from big businesses like Oyo, firing 12,000 people
Hmm.
back in March and April,
Hmm.
and Ola, Uber also firing a lot of people.
Correct.
So I believe that was like a spike. That was more like a knee jerk
Hmm.
for the industry, where businesses, they just panicked and they started firing in order to save cash, reserve a few cash flow.
Hmm.
What sort of do's and don'ts would you like to put out there for businesses when it comes to sustaining and maintaining their brand?
Um, I think let's talk about the do's first.
Hmm.
Uh, People and brands need to make sure that they're sensitive to the world scenario. You can't block yourself and be selfish to your own needs, because frankly, like I said, customers and viewers are much more smarter today. If you're trying too hard to sell something, they'll receive that energy and they'll figure out what you're trying to do. So I
Yeah.
think that sensitivity part is key for sure. Another thing is, form your own DNA, quit copying trends, and identify with, like, people. You need to identify with something that is authentic, and you need to offer that to your viewers.
Yeah.
Another thing is, I think the most important thing is to remember to give your team a healthy environment. Good people make a good brand and a good life for yourself and your team. That's something that I've applied to my studio as well.
Hmm.
So we have a small studio in Delhi from where we operate, and we do our shoots, and we have our office area there. From day one, my only aim was to make a very happy, creative, positive space. So
Hmm.
literally, even if I don't go into my studio for 3 days or 4 days a week, which I sometimes did, my team knew that even if I'm not sitting on their heads, they had to deliver, because they treated that space as their own. They were
Yeah.
not coming into some typical office and bound by hours or bound by things they couldn't do. They had full freedom. There was a small there's I mean, these are little things that you can add to your studio or your office space, where I had a small pantry where I told them, take that time out to relax and have tea, coffee, lunch whenever you wanted to do. We had a little couch in our studio. I mean, we still do, but it's been a while. I haven't been to my studio. So we have a couch area where I said, if you don't want to sit on your table, just lie down, relax.
Yeah.
It's your space. There's no hard and fast rule of sitting for 8, 9 hours on a chair. So these are the small things that I've actually put into my team's mindset also, that today they treat AM branding as their own. They're not working for me. We're actually collaborating together and doing things together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the most important thing, because it's no longer about employing people, it's about collaborating. That entire, I think, especially in the newer generation, that entire aspect of having a boss and an employee and that entire awkward situation is gone. And it should go, because it's a healthier environment to work in, you know.
True, true.
And I think the last thing is to just be consistent with your communication, especially visual communication, as that is what viewers absorb first. Your product comes much later.
Hmm. That is true. But how do you cut through the noise on social media? When it comes to visually communicating your brand to your customers, there's a lot of noise on Instagram.
Correct.
So how do you cut through that?
I think that would bring us to our don'ts that people should not do.
Hmm.
Firstly, don't copy or shadow any communication pattern.
Hmm.
You have to get inspired and move past that. Like, you can't shadow what people are doing exactly, because I think that's just silly. And you need to respect your brand and your own creativity a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
than to just copy somebody. Another thing is, don't lie about your deliverables. That goes across all fields in this world of business. You can't lie about what you're going to deliver, and don't oversell or overpromise, because eventually it's all out in the open, right? So it's only good to keep it crisp and crystal clear for yourself and for your clients.
Yeah.
Also, very important aspect is not to compromise with quality, be it in a product or service
Hmm. Hmm.
sector. Your quality is key, and I think that will take you a long way. If you just concentrate on maintaining that quality, people will uh, come back to you.
True. Yeah.
And like I said, another thing that I really hate is a toxic relationship with my clients or my employees.
Hmm.
I can't stand negativity. It's not in me. So I try to not create that environment, and I put in so much effort to just making sure that every day when I wake up, my team is in a good mood, and I try to check in with them. The first question that I send them is not about work. I check with them about how they are and how things, especially now due to this, COVID situation. I like to check in with them whether their families are okay, and if they need something, because I think that effort has to come from the employer first, or the founder who has people working for them, because it's another family, right? They're not machines, they're humans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I think if you have your team sorted, that's the best thing that you can do for your business.
Yeah, it keeps them motivated also. Like if somebody is working for you, what is the motivation for them to keep working for you?
Exactly. Like, if you don't value what they're doing for
Hmm.
you every day, and I'm not saying do this once a month, it's an everyday job to check in with them. And like, I don't mean to make other business owners jealous on this point, but literally I have to call my team and
Hmm.
scold them at 9 o'clock in the night or 8 o'clock in the night and say, can you stop working? Or can you stop doing this? You can take it to the next day.
Yeah.
That's how amazing they are. And I just have a team currently who are working from home of 6 to 7 people. And
Hmm.
especially, I'd like to mention my studio head, Sharon. He is such an amazing guy. I feel like he's been the biggest blessing, because he manages the studio and
Hmm.
he's my go to person. Like, he would ace graphics, he would ace photography, every single thing that we do, he knows it well. And then we have other people who, because your main person who's heading your studio, if his or her mindset is amazing, I think the rest of them follow that you know
Yeah, I mean, hiring plays a big role, in creating a perfect team. So I believe,
Absolutely, that's so true.
so, hiring the right kind of people who can understand your vision and work towards it. I mean, I'm sure Sharon is doing the right thing for you guys.
I mean, he works selflessly. He
Hmm.
literally works like I mean, it is definitely, it's been the three of us who've sort of, ever since AM started, Avril, Sharon, and I, we've been the core team. But also these amazing girls that I have on my team, Pooja, Rachna, like they're fabulous. I don't know where they get it from, or it's just a team effort that we've built together. But amazing people to work with.
True. I mean, it goes a long way, if you have the right kind of people with you,
Hmm.
then basically, it gives you that freedom to explore things, do experiments.
Hmm. Correct.
Because I see that a lot of businesses, they don't experiment with the kind of work that they're doing because they're afraid, because they don't have the right team with them.
Hmm.
So when you have the right team, the right kind of people working for you, then you can take that chance.
Correct.
Because at the back of the mind, you know that even if it fails, at least you will learn something. I mean, you will have a new experience.
Yeah, what you're saying is so true that, because my team is there and they've got it together. Of course, we do have our ups and downs, but I know that they've got it sorted. They
Hmm.
have my back. If I
Hmm.
had to switch off and go do something else other than, my daily routine, I can do that and I can
Hmm.
leave my work because they've also been with me for a while, for a few years now, the same team. And we just keep adding more people to it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I'm just super grateful. And I think, it goes both ways. Like I've put in my effort and so have they. And I think at the end of the day, it's teamwork.
And how is the current landscape changing for your domain, especially when it comes to aim branding and this whole designing and marketing space?
In terms of business, you mean?
Yeah, in terms of business, in terms of, reaching out to your target audience, building, your customer loyalty.
So for AM, it's a very different game altogether in
Hmm.
terms of marketing because, like I said, we do no marketing.
Hmm.
For me, my only thing is that whatever we create for our clients, we try to archive the best of it on our page and not even overdo a lot. But I try to give my viewers on Instagram a good insight of what we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And initially when the lockdown happened, I remember we had a lot of newer smaller brands with us who couldn't afford continue paying us, and they took a back seat and put their things on hold. So literally there was a time when uh, like around 8 to 9 clients had from our social media projects had stopped us, which
Okay.
was okay. And I
Hmm.
understood that, because you can't force somebody to continue. You have to be sensitive to their financial aspect as well.
Right.
But moving ahead, if social media went down, there was so much interest in building websites because, like I said, people started realizing that they could take this time to fix other branding aspects. So,
Hmm.
thankfully, by the grace of God, if one thing was going down, we had a lot of website interest and we ended up building 2 to 3 websites during this duration.
Hmm.
One
Hmm.
of them is the Diya project. It's an amazing meditation app that's come up, and it's founded by Siddharth Morakia from Bombay, and we ended up making an amazing website for him. And another one was for Tanya Gavri. She's one of the top stylists in India,
Mm-hmm.
and we did her website, we did her social media. We're still managing her aesthetic online. So I think it's okay. I mean, we let the clients go, and we took the work that we were getting, and it's been okay for us so far.
Okay. All right. And any advice that you would like to give to new entrepreneurs in your field?
I think just the do's and don'ts that I've
Hmm.
mentioned for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they should follow that and they should create their own blueprint because, like I said, for AM we had no blueprint. There was
Hmm.
no company I was looking at that, oh, I want to be this person. Even till date, um, it's really funny when people ask me, okay, who's your competitor, and I have no answer genuinely
Hmm.
because I don't know anybody who's doing things similar to what we do. And of course, like I said, there are people in the West, but even then, not so much. Like I don't follow any company in the West also who's working at a personal level like we are. If I
Hmm.
wanted, I could have crazily expanded to a team of 30 people, or had like 50 clients, because that's in the last 3 years. If I took every project that was coming our way, it's important to maintain quality. It's important to retain your clients that you start with and build those brands into iconic brands. It's not about the number, it's about the quality of the projects that you're delivering. So for us, the key has been to do such amazing work that we retain our existing clients,
Yeah.
because we've built that relationship with them. And I think that's the biggest win. That gives me the most happiness when I see that, okay, this person has been with AM for the last 3 years or 4 years. That's my biggest win.
Yeah, true, true. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, they say, right, in the world of Hyundai is be the Ferrari. So,
Correct.
I mean, yeah, quantity matters, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, if you can't back that off with quality,
Hmm.
then what is the point of having 500 customers if you can't even produce five quality projects?
Correct. Because, when, especially in a creative field, you can't have money drive you always. It's
Yeah.
not about the money.
Hmm.
Of course, I'm not saying it's not important. Like, we've made it a point to remain a profitable company till
Hmm.
date, and we do pay attention to that. I mean, I don't, Aviral does. He's the brains and accounts of the company. But I think more than that, it's about waking up every morning and doing things that you love.
Hmm.
And the day I stop, loving it, I think that's the day that we'll be done, because I don't want to give out mediocre work at all. Like, for me, it has to be fabulous or nothing at all.
True. I mean, you need to have a unique kind of romance with your business,
Correct.
because if you can't have that, if you don't feel that, then at the end of the day, it won't show in your designs, it won't show in your deliverables. Uh,
100% correct.
yeah, and I believe, it's the responsibilities of companies like you, because at the end of the day, you are the ones who are guiding your customers in their creative journey.
Correct.
So a lot of times I see that customers are, they're not sure of the kind of messaging they want to put out, or maybe the kind of designs that they want to follow. So it
Hmm.
becomes really important for brands like AM Branding to really guide them in a correct way, and showcase the kind of designs that would really, how do I put it, look authentic to their customers.
Absolutely. And it's a huge responsibility. I mean, at the end of the day, even if we are as a company 3 years old, but the clients that I'm working with, be it Kunal Raval or Arpita Mehta, and all these clients who've been in the industry for 8 to 10 years, it adds a huge responsibility, because if they are coming to us for guidance,
Hmm.
and if I'm not in the best shape of mind to tell them a unique idea, I think that's just wrong. So I have to make sure that each individual client who I coordinate with and who I work with gets the best of what they can in the industry.
Hmm.
And I have to work like 10 times harder to make sure that the ideas that I'm getting for them are super unique. And I
True.
think that's something that they also expect when they give me a call or send me a message asking me anything.
True, true. I mean, that is absolutely 100% correct when it comes to designing, when it comes to branding. And to all our listeners out there, you can definitely check out ambranding.co. And we would also be putting up the website links in the show notes below. So definitely check them out. If you want to hit them up on Instagram, you can check out their Instagram handle. That's same as ambranding.co. We would also be putting up links for Mridul on our website at sociallydesi.com. So feel free to reach out to Mridul in terms of, if you need any kind of help with your visuals, if you need any kind of help with your branding, you want to build your online presence. I'm sure Mridul would be happy to help you out.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's been an amazing conversation. And there's so much that I'll take back from this podcast with Socially Desi. So thank you, Anurag, for having me. And I hope to do this again.
Thank you very much, Mridul. And I'm sure a lot of businesses out there, a lot of customers, and our viewers would definitely have key takeaways from this episode. So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you like the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Mridul on our show again in future to discuss more about marketing and communications with respect to your brands. So if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.